Welcome to the Rotary Club of Seattle. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Seattle, where we are working to build healthy communities. My name is Jan Levy, and I'm your president for the 25-26 year. I hope that you will take a moment to read our land acknowledgement, which is on the screen, as I welcome Jevin and Linda. Jevin Powell and Linda Ruff, are you coming up to the podium? Oh, okay, great. If you'll all stand, Jevin and Linda will lead us in today's song.
Sorry, we're waiting for another mic. It's yellow. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll get there. Wait. Rotary is a voice for peace, justice, and compassion. And so is this song of over 60 years written by Bob Dylan, asking the same questions we asked today. Dylan was only 21, and his anti-violence civil rights protest song was so powerful, it attained 14th in the Rolling Stones list of 500 greatest songs ever written. Singing our opening song together is our small but meaningful act of unity. If you can harmonize, and I know you're out there, you can, please do so. But this is not a performance. Singing together helps get rid of any discord. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years must a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? Yes, and how many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Good.
Thank you, Jevin, and thank you, Linda. I can't think of a more timely song. I also want to thank Dahlia Sharif and Matt Albertson for serving as our greeters today. And to Pete Delaney, I just saw you, now I can't see you, there you are. For serving as greeters. For serving as our reporter. We do have some amazing visitors today, some guests. The rest of you, please sit down. And if you're a guest today or a visiting Rotarian, please stay standing. Or stand back up. Sorry about that. We have some terrific guests with us today. I don't know all your names, so I can't read them all. Kathy Cloutier, Adam Petticord, Eric Moss, Markham and John, our speakers. Nitin Agrawal, Alka Agrawal. I'm not even going to try that first name. Seema Ishan Buddha Prakash and Olena Saromo with Sarah Reaver. All of our guests with the Indian names are from the club, the Rotary Club of Kota, which is a ways away, and they're here to visit their son who's entering the University of Washington. So welcome, all of you. Last week, our Rotarians, our club members, wrote 96 handwritten messages to students from the Rotary Boys and Girls Club with unsolicited words of encouragement as they started school. As you can see from the photo, the kids really appreciated our efforts. The back to school cards were a huge success, and the children's reactions were priceless. For some of these kids, this could have been the very first personal card they've ever received. It's a small gesture, but it has a big impact. Thanks to all of you who were here and participated. Special thanks to Tatiana Serlina Spady and the local service committee for making this happen. And hopefully we'll be able to continue this tradition as we move into the holiday season. So thank you all. We have a great program today. Following a new member introduction, we will be continuing to look at our regional economy with Markham McIntyre and John Scholes, here to talk about the recovery of downtown. But first, please welcome John Kilpatrick to the podium to introduce our new member, Andrew Doran.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, President Jan. It's good to see you. Of course, it's good to be seen, too. I'm at that age where it's better to be seen than to be viewed. President Jan, honored guests, fellow Rotarians, it's my honor and privilege today to introduce the world's newest Rotarian, Andrew Doran, who was proposed by past President John Bridge. Andrew is the Assistant Dean for Development and External Relations at the University of Washington School of Law. In that capacity, he provides leadership for the school's fundraising, development, and external relationships. Andrew's path to Seattle is a fairly circuitous one. He hails from upstate New York, near Rochester, but knew from an early age that he wanted to get away. And I was in Rochester a couple of weeks ago, and I understand the sentiment there. He went to college in my old home state of South Carolina at Clemson University and embarked on a very successful career in corporate marketing. Andrew spent most of that career with Coca-Cola, ending up as VP of Sales for the Western U.S. That job took him to Las Vegas, where he met his wife, Heather, on a blind date. She was from Idaho, but had gone to school at the University of Puget Sound. And like Andrew, she was also in marketing with MGM Las Vegas. By the way, Andrew and Heather will celebrate their 14th anniversary this coming October 1st. After Las Vegas, Coca-Cola moved Andrew to Bellevue, then down to Irvine, California. In 2018, Andrew moved back to the Puget Sound, specifically to Redmond, where Andrew joined Keurig to take over management of the important Keurig-Starbucks relationship. Andrew and Heather have two children, a daughter age 11 and a son age 3.5. Andrew and Heather were building their family when the COVID pandemic hit, and it led some real introspection about where Andrew's career was headed. He decided it was time to take his hard-earned business skills and put them to work in a more rewarding not-for-profit role, which led him to his current position at the university about 1.5 years ago. He describes his new job as the ambassador for the School of Law. I asked Andrew how the transition was working out, and he told me how much he's been able to leverage what he learned in business. He uses words like gratification and fulfillment to describe the feeling he gets now helping people, particularly developing the resources for scholarships and financial aid for deserving students. Much of Andrew's work is outreach to the school's alumni. The University of Washington School of Law has about 9,000 living alumni. About 70% of them live here in the state of Washington. As a result, Andrew's travel schedule is nowhere near as onerous as it used to be. He works from home about 2 days a week and is on campus about 3 days a week. In prior years, Andrew has been active as a professional mentor with the American Corporate Partners, as mass responder with the American Red Cross, and as chair of the school commission for St. Louis School. Right now, however, Andrew's non-work life surrounds playing with his kids and playing golf. Sounds like, President Jan, there's plenty of room in his schedule for some Rotary activities. With that, I would like to introduce, and it is my honor and privilege to introduce, the world's newest Rotarian, Andrew Doran. Hey.
Thank you, John. Welcome, Andrew. Andrew, at the end of our meeting, if you'd stand near the exit and greet people as they leave. We have a surprise special guest today. As we are continuing to look at the regional economy and specifically the recovery of downtown Seattle, it is my distinct honor to welcome Mayor Bruce Harrell to the podium. He's a fellow Garfield Bulldog, so we have a special bond. But we invited him here to say a few words about the downtown recovery and where we're headed in the next few years. So thank you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Jan. So before I get into substantive remarks, let me first address the elephant in the room. Yes, I'm wearing a suit, coat, and casual pants. And that is because I've had 2 outdoor events and I had to run here to speak to these great Rotarians, and I didn't have a chance to put on my suit that I usually wear when I greet you. So first of all, greetings from the mayor's office, and thank all of you for the great community work that you do, whether it's philanthropy, business, education. Thank you. I think many of you know my wife was a Rotarian. I didn't make the cut, so I can't say I'm a former Rotarian, but I want to thank all of you for what you've done in the city. Let me just be candid, and you know, Jan, I want to thank you for congratulations on your leadership position. She was good friends with my wife back in the Leadership Tomorrow days, and again, that curriculum certainly worked for my wife because her resume could sort of dwarf mine, so it worked. Okay. So I'm pretty actually excited about our future. And I want to thank, I know John Scholes and Markham will talk about some specific things, but the partnership we've done with the DSA in terms of increasing and the talent and the number of the mid ambassadors. Our recruiting now is breaking records in terms of our police department. Many of you recall that when I was elected 2.5 years ago, which seemed like an eternity, by the way, I lost over 300 officers right away. And that was a abysmal number to run a city as great as Seattle. I can't get my officers out working with small businesses. I can't get 7-minute response times. And worse than that, I had about 300 to 400 officers ready to retire at a second's notice. And so what the good news is, we're getting about 10 applications a day, 4,000 per year. Our numbers are recruiting. By this year, we'll have another about 120, 150 net new officers. And so this is phenomenal news for where we are heading. We have a chief of police and Dr. Sean Barnes, who is nationally recruited and nationally respected for coming up with place-based strategies. And so that's what you're going to see. I have to tell you, it's been really tough to right the ship. To do it in 3.5 years is a lot of work, but we will make sure that smart policies prevail. Very recently, some of you heard about a B&O tax policy we proposed, and we touted as saying that 90% of the tax-paying businesses either improve their tax position or it does not negatively affect them. So they get a tax break or an improved position. Now, I say that having been I think a pretty fiscally minded elected leader here in the city, to say that, and my son, in full disclosure, who holds a MBA from Wharton and has done some great things, who actually works at Amazon. I say this to say that Amazon is a great example of what can happen when you have a city that is smart with innovation, recruits talented employees, and has an opportunity to grow. Their profits last year, I don't know if you know, were $60 billion, $60 billion. And the year before it was 30 billion. So they actually doubled their profit. So I say that to say that we want to make sure that companies can succeed such that they can employ people. We also want to make sure that we are creating an infrastructure in Seattle. By that, I mean great police officers, great transportation solutions, housing money such that everyone can live in this city. And so we always try to develop policies such that small, medium-sized, and large companies can thrive. And I'm very proud to say that Markham McIntyre is an example of the kind of leadership we have in the city that understands this and gets this. So I'll close, and if there's a question or two I need to take, I have to actually go to another event, but I have a few minutes. I close by saying this. I honestly believe a person was just born about 2 miles from here. I didn't go very far in my life in terms of where I decided to leave home. A person that was educated in our Seattle public school system. And by the way, everyone will have an opportunity to vote on a levy that, by the way, offers the fact that if you graduate from Seattle public schools, you can go to college 2 years for free. And we're expanding childcare and pre-kindergarten slots up to the 4,500 slots. We are positioning this city for greatness. That's what we're doing, okay? Not just status quo. So yeah, let's clap on that one, shoot. I close by saying that our administration, for the leaders like Markham and others that you know, we don't want status quo. We don't want to just drift along. Coming out of the ravages of COVID and economic development strains out of the major cities, we are putting ourselves in a position to truly be an awesome, great city, a high-tech city, biotech city, a maritime city, an industry city, a labor city, an education city, an athletic city, a culture and arts city. We are positioned for greatness. And that's why I'm so proud to talk to you, Rotarians. I know that you know that intersectionality between community, faith, hard work, making no excuses. You are sort of part of this ecosystem that makes Seattle great. So I'm honored to be here. And if there's a question to you, Jan, or should I just, any questions from you, good Rotarians?
Have a microphone.
Yes, please. Hey, Trish. Thank you, Trish.
businesses to come back down where they're vacant? How do we? what
Yes,
is-
great question. How do we get the businesses to come down that were vacant? And I think Mark and you may talk on this a little later, so but I'll hum a few bars. First of all, we have to acknowledge the fact that when I was a kid, and we can go to Woolworth and shop at some of the stores, that buying habits have changed. We have to acknowledge the fact that we're using e-commerce now. So what does that mean for the new downtown? If you look at how we've tied into the waterfront, to the Pike Place Market, a pedestrian experience. So the answer is going to be, number one is we want more people living downtown. We have to have people coming here. So we change our zoning schemes to allow that. We have to make sure that small businesses and medium-sized businesses, that through a tax policy or through actual funding, whatever we can do, we can get them down here. And you're just going to see in our downtown more what I'll call experiential activities. And so that could be a dog park, that could be a daycare center, that could be music outdoors, that could be a big screen where people could see things. I fundamentally believe to get people back to the workplace, some of the things that they like in their home, which could be access to their children, of course, their dogs, of course, exercise, exercise with other people, that those kinds of experiential activities were going to drive people downtown. I have to do my job. My job is to make sure that it's safe, that you don't have bad conduct where you go. And you've seen our strategies, sometimes not as sustainable as I want them to be. And that's why I said we had to put the right systems in place. So between zoning schemes, incentivize small businesses, experiential activities, that's what you're going to see. And I'll give Wild Ginger a good example. So Wild Ginger in the Triple Door, we approved zoning for them to build on top, go a little higher for residential. So the more people we get living downtown in a safe environment, and we have to play the long game. And I have to tell you, Trish, that when I see plywood in businesses where there used to be small restaurants or small clothing stores, I get angry because I want to encourage businesses, do everything I can to encourage businesses to be there. So we're looking at all of the above and working with many of you in this room to make sure that we can get small businesses and experiential activities downtown. And I'm sure Markham will be a little more specific on some of our specific programs.
Okay, this is the very last question. Very quick one.
Yes.
You have 1 minute. I think you
Okay,
have to go.
1 minute.
Welcome,
One
Mayor.
politician's minute. That's like 5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Welcome, Bruce. Craig Harris and I grew up in South Seattle on the wrong side of the Garfield Rainier Beach equation. I wanted to ask you a quick follow-up on Seattle schools. It's such a critical element that we have a solid public education system. Can you elaborate a bit more on the role you play in supporting that? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Craig. So we have a great opportunity through our levy. And what we did is we looked at the needs for 2026 and beyond to make our educational system, if you would, a Seattle Public Schools system, the greatest. And by that, I mean think of it in 3 concepts. Before school starts, 0 to 4, early learning. So we're going to expand childcare and pre-kindergarten slots, looking at brain development from 0 to 4 to 4,500 slots. We're paying the actual teachers, 5,000 teachers, a bonus because we needed bench strength for the teachers during pre-K. So there you look at what's we had the Balmer Foundation, for example, who has invested $38 million in the Rainier Valley Early Learning Center, where we'll teach the new teachers on the pre-K curriculum so we could grow that bench strength. Once we get them in school, from 0 to 4, you're looking at all of the supports for school in the levy that we propose. So there you have your mentoring, you have your mental health. Right now, going to school is very traumatic for these kids. They have to go on lockdowns. There's cyberbullying going on. So there you see all of the support system while they're in the school that we're spending literally hundreds of millions of dollars on. Then after that, this is where it really gets cool, that if they graduate, they can go to on the Seattle Promise Scholarship. And I actually started that in 2016 with 1.5 million. Now we expand it to all kids. And by the way, there's a mental health component that kids between 8 to 24, even if they graduate, still have access to mental health. That's a public safety strategy. So all of that is embedded in a package that we've proposed that will pass, hopefully, if the voters really look at what we're trying to do. But now they could pipe into industry jobs, manufacturing jobs, maritime jobs, high tech, culture, arts, all those great avenues, because we have a shortage of good workers in these areas. You know, AI would not replace a person that can do plumbing, as an example, and there's a shortage of plumbers. So this package, Craig, that we're packaging is exactly what the city needs to recruit the families we're losing that are going to other schools in the Seattle Public School District. And we worked with them, we worked with business leaders and labor leaders to put this package on the ballot. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Mayor Harrell. It's our honor that you chose to join us today. When I was growing up in Seattle, going downtown was a big adventure. It was really exciting. I remember I'd go to Frederick and Nelson's once a year with my grandmother, and she'd take me to lunch in the tea room and then buy me a new outfit for school. When I got a little bit older, my parents allowed me to take the bus downtown all by myself, and I'd meet my friends and we'd go to the movies. These days, not so much. The empty storefronts, the downtown just doesn't feel as exciting as it once did. Some people have told me they're actually afraid to come downtown. They, I don't know, perceived criminal activity or whatever, but they don't like it. So now we get to talk with two great people, Markham McIntyre, who is the director of the city's Office for Economic Development, and John Scholes, who is our member and head of the Downtown Seattle Association. Of course, I have to say, they're both Leadership Tomorrow graduates. So please join me in welcoming John Scholes and Markham McIntyre to the podium.
Hi, everybody. I'm Markham McIntyre, the Director of the Office of Economic Development of the City of Seattle. I'm going to go first, and then John's going to go second, and then we'll stand for some questions. I think we've got 30-ish minutes, so we'll try to go quickly with the presentation portion so that we can save plenty of room for questions. If you leave here today with 3 messages, it is these. 1, downtown is making tremendous progress, but we still have a long ways to go. 2, partnership matters and is critical to that progress. And 3, the future is bright for downtown Seattle. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Let me test my slides here. So first I want to start just thinking about 2 years ago versus today. What you see on the screen here is City Hall Park. On the left was about 2 years ago. This was an image that actually burned like wildfire through national media, kind of explaining what was going on in blue cities. Versus the right today, which is where you see the lovely cafe lightings. We've had some incredible art happen there. And if you walk down there now, it's a very pleasant experience. So this is just kind of the stark contrast between where we were 2 days ago and where we are today. How did we get there? First and foremost, it's what you heard the mayor say earlier, which is he made downtown a priority. So his administration came in and declared that downtown was incredibly important, not just for our city, our region, our state's economy, but for our identity as Seattleites. And so what we did is we developed the Downtown Activation Plan. And the idea here was that solving downtown really starts with a thesis that downtown runs on people. So the entire plan's point is how do we get more people downtown? It's a multifaceted problem, a very complex problem, multi-layered. So what we needed was a multifaceted plan to try to deal with it. I'm not going to go through each of these, but these are the 7 bold goals of the Downtown Activation Plan. We brought together many of the downtown related departments in the city, but most importantly, we worked with our philanthropic and private sector partners, including the Downtown Seattle Association, to make this whole thing go. It wasn't just a city effort, it was a team sport. We recognized that we need to bring the full effort of the city to try to make downtown revitalized. If you want to think about progress, the good news is, and John says this eloquently, so he'll probably say it in his remarks, but the good stuff is going up, the bad stuff is going down. Are we where we want to be? No, but what that does is it charts a course, it charts a trajectory that we really want to keep and maintain. But it all starts, first and foremost, with what the mayor just said, making downtown safe and welcoming. None of the fun stuff is possible if people don't feel safe and perceive safety downtown. So that's been one of the priorities of the mayor's administration and of the Downtown Activation Plan. And it starts, honestly, with the fentanyl crisis. You've all seen it. You've all experienced it as you walk downtown. Open air drug use, people in the fentanyl slump, people going generally through terrible crisis. And so the mayor has really thought about public safety both as a healthcare priority and a law enforcement priority. And you have to have both responses to actually try to wrestle this problem down. So that's why there's been a huge focus on the fentanyl dealing, the drug dealing, but also on recovery. So thinking about the third branch of law enforcement that the mayor set up called the CARE team, that is staffed by professionals who do not carry a gun but are trained to respond to mental health and substance abuse crisis. It also has to do with the post-overdose system. So when somebody ODs, our Health 99 team from our Seattle Fire Department can administer buprenorphine to help those withdrawal symptoms reduce. They're the first fire department team in the country that's allowed to do that. And then just recently, we opened the new Orca Center down in Pioneer Square on 3rd Avenue to help to actually have a place for people to go when they're recovering from overdoses. But that's clearly not just enough. So we also have to have the law enforcement element as well. The mayor mentioned that the police recruiting numbers are finally trending back upwards. Even before the pandemic, we did not have the size of police force that a city of our scale and density should have. So getting those numbers back on track to actually have a highly trained police force is incredibly important. So it's incredibly heartening to see those numbers returning. What that does is actually allow more of a presence on the street. 3rd and Pike and Pine has been an incredibly vexing intersection for decades. I grew up in Seattle, and I remember taking the bus down to 3rd and Pike to go to Pike Place Market. When I was 13 years old, it was still a problem. Like, that was still not a great place to go. So we've recently met with a number of downtown leaders, and one of their messages was very clear. It's, we need more bike patrols. We used to have 7 bike patrols in the West Precinct. We're down to 1. So the new police chief with these new recruiting numbers is pledging to bring back more bike patrols, particularly for that intersection, but to patrol around downtown. We've also opened the Real-Time Crime Center. Incredibly important to wed the law enforcement elements with new technology so that we can figure out how to get ahead of crimes and actually solve them. And then hopefully you saw the news that we just ended the consent decree with the federal government. So again, thinking about the quality of training of our officers to do it in a constitutional and respectful way is incredibly important, not just for the actual law enforcement, but again, that perception of public safety so that everyone feels like they can be safe downtown. And then the last bucket of law enforcement has to do with outreach and services. And this is where the partnership with DSA and their mid-ambassadors is incredibly critical. But there are a number of other elements that are helping connect folks to housing or services. And that's really emblematic with the mayor's downtown activation team, where we have multiple city departments working with the DSA and some outreach service providers to provide very targeted tactical support at that 3rd and Pine intersection and then Little Saigon, 2 of the incredible hotspot areas. And it's just now starting in Pioneer Square along 3rd and James there, where we can actually have these scheduled restoration activities that include pressure washing, graffiti removal, outreach services, law enforcement, all happening at the same time to disrupt the negative behavior and create that sense of safety. It's still a work in progress. Like, I'm not gonna stand up here and declare victory. There are still some incredible challenges, particularly those hotspot areas, but the results are pretty staggering in terms of the number of overdoses, the number of narcotics violations, the number of 911 calls. And then recently I learned that in Little Saigon, the city has a list of about 90 individuals that were perpetually and chronically having bad behavior, negative behavior in Little Saigon. And I just learned that we've housed over 38 of those individuals. So you take a number of 90 that are really causing kind of the true targeted issues in Little Saigon, and you more than a third get those people into services and housing. That is incredible real progress that happens on the ground. So I also want to talk about more of the fun stuff, because some of our areas of focus as we improve public safety are public space activation, again, making it feel welcome and bright. Lighting and illumination has been incredibly important. Hopefully you've noticed the lights going up all around downtown. You can see here on the left, that's our Spark Block, where we had a number of public art installations happen. We had one of our storefront revitalizations at the old Bergman Luggage Building, and worked with a lot of private landowners to actually jazz up that area. You'll see here the mayor participating in Mural Fest down in Belltown, where we had dozens of murals put up to just try to add that pop of color into downtown. Next, I want to talk a little bit more about economic development. That's my area of trade. So Trish, you mentioned vacant storefronts. That's been one of our main areas of focus. We operate a program called Seattle Restored that pairs entrepreneurs and business owners with vacant storefronts. We actually have Tiffany behind you there, who's one of our Seattle Restored participants. It's been a fabulous program. We've done over 126 vacant storefronts that we've activated either with short-term or long-term entrepreneurs. And we really want to scale and evolve that. We've had property owners really respond positively to this, and entrepreneurs just love it. So the demand is there, the opportunity is there. It's on the city to actually make that connection and match make there. So we're really excited about where that's going. The reality is right now, it's really hard to operate a small business. Costs are up and revenues are down. And so that makes it really challenging. So again, it's the city trying to figure out what levers can we pull, what gaps can we fill to actually make it possible for those businesses to succeed? Because the last thing we want to do is put somebody in a vacant storefront, get everyone's hopes up, and then have it fail. So one of the things I'm excited about is yesterday the city council passed some legislation that's going to make it cheaper and easier for businesses to get into vacant storefronts by eliminating a whole bunch of permitting requirements. So that's on us, right? As the city, we control permitting. Let's make it easier and cheaper for businesses to get in those vacant storefronts. I'm also excited, the mayor mentioned AI, but the truth is we're incredibly on the forefront of AI. We have 23% of AI engineers here in the city of Seattle, second only to the Bay Area. So we have an incredible competitive advantage paired with our innovative spirit. So we've thought about how do we actually get people access to starting those businesses and growing those businesses. So we worked on opening up the AI house down on Pier 70. For those of you who remember, it's where the Real World Seattle was located. Now it's full of a bunch of AI businesses, which is really great. And we're helping then get them into downtown locations to open, expand their offices. And then the second thing where we really have an opportunity is with clean energy. We're going to need so much clean energy, and it's going to be one of the differentiators for which cities succeed in the future. So we opened up a climate innovation hub with the University of Washington's Co-Motion program to, again, try to generate those ideas and those businesses that are going to help us with climate change, but also export that technology to the world. So I want to close by where I started, which is we are making progress, but clearly not enough. It's on us to stay focused and motivated. We've showed what we can do in 2 years when we have a plan and we work together. The results are real. They're on the ground and they're in the numbers, but we've got more to do. Second, that partnership is critical. We couldn't do it without our public and other public, private, and philanthropic partners. So I'm excited to have John come talk about it from his perspective. But then third, the future is really bright. We have an incredible opportunity, and we at the Office of Economic Development try to see these challenges as opportunities. What you do have to do, though, is stay positive and optimistic. It's very easy to get caught in the doom loop and read the headlines and feel like the world's falling apart. That's why we send out a newsletter every week highlighting the good news downtown, because there's lots of it, and sometimes you don't get to see it. So I encourage you to sign up so you can get that ray of sunshine about what's actually happening downtown, and then share it with your friends. My ask to all of you is that you actually talk about the good news that's happening and bring downtown back, because the only way we're going to do that is we change the perception and get people back downtown. So thanks for your time. I'll pass it over to John, and then we'll answer some questions.
Thanks, Markham. Markham's been a great partner in this work. The mayor's been a great leader. I agree with Markham's assessment. I think we're on a path to progress here. We've clearly avoided the doom loop. I've suggested, we're on the precipice of a bloom loop, and we're seeing that in our downtown. And I want to take just a few minutes, so we leave time for questions, to highlight a few of the things that we've been focused on as an organization over these last couple of years. If I can operate this. There we go. And what the results have been. Share a few stats and data on some of the metrics we're tracking to measure downtown's revitalization, and then highlight a few current areas of focus. And thanks for what you all have done as the Rotary. You've made the revitalization of downtown part of your programming, part of your activities. You've taken part and been a helpful partner to helping to revive this place, a place that matters to the entire city and the entire region, I would say the state as well. And I've had the great privilege of leading this organization for 11 years. I've been with the association for 17. I think I've worked with 5 or 6 mayoral administrations over that period. And I can say that this partnership that we have is one of the strongest. And we can't do it alone. They can't do it alone. We need to do it together. And that's what we're doing. So over these last couple of years, we've grown our downtown ambassador team that Markham and the mayor referenced to 165 full-time staff. These folks are supported by investments of property owners in our downtown. They're on the streets 362 days a year, 7 days a week, generally from about 6:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., providing a range of functions. We've also added a lot of equipment over the last year or two. We'll add 10 more of these electric three-wheeled trikes in the next week. We've got a fleet now of 55 or so. It makes it easier for our folks to get around downtown, improves their job experience and satisfaction, and we can cover more ground. We've expanded the district that they serve over these last couple of years. So today, the service area is from Denny Way to the north, T-Mobile Park to the south, and then between I-5 and the waterfront. This is a huge investment that property owners are making. So anybody that owns a hotel, a residential building, an office building, a parking lot in downtown is investing into these services. The city collects the dollars and we provide those services. The basics matter to the everything else we're doing and to a thriving downtown. So we've been focused on the basics and expanding those services. We've also been focused on creating reasons for people to be downtown. We've done concerts downtown for 40 plus years. We just concluded our 46 Downtown Summer Sounds concert series. We've retooled these a bit. They used to be during lunchtime so that office workers would come out and maybe grab a lunch and eat outside with some colleagues. We've booked bigger acts. We've closed streets. We've looked to make these bigger and larger draws. So it's not just about drawing people out of the buildings they may already be in downtown, but creating a whole reason for people to come downtown. And we kicked it off on July 11th, a Friday, closed down Pine Street. And we've been looking then to partner too with other organizations to support this kind of activity. So the very next day, Nordstrom held a block party on this street with this stage and at Westlake Park. So leveraging our shared interest to create reasons for people to be downtown. So music, concerts, watch parties, ice rinks, lots of different things that we've invested in over the last couple of years and more to come. We've also tried to take some of our existing spaces that were either underutilized or there were things going on there that we didn't want to see and make them spaces where everybody feels welcome. This is a plaza at First and Pike that was created just a couple of years ago. We've been doing very basic things here of tables and chairs and flowers and games. I walked through there last Friday. The Double Dutch Divas were in there doing Double Dutch, and you could just go do Double Dutch if you wanted to. And you had this little kid next to some stranger, and they're both doing Double Dutch. It was the cutest dang thing. So this is a space we manage under a contract with the city and building on our portfolio of public spaces downtown that we're activating staffing programming like Westlake Park and Occidental Square. And these have been some of the results. When you look at the number of visitors downtown compared to the same period over the summer in 2019, we're at about 100% of where we were. When you look at return to office, the July numbers were 66% of the same month in 2019. So still a long way to go, but we're continuing to see an increase, a slow increase, but a steady increase in the number of people back in their offices at least 3 days a week compared to the same month in 2019. Hotel room demand, again, was strong this summer, about 100% of what it was in the summer of 2019. And we've got more people living downtown today than we had pre-pandemic. About 109,000 people live downtown. We have 2,500 units of housing under construction that will be completed within the next year and a half. The demand for those units remains strong. That's a huge bright spot for us to have this downtown residential population that continues to grow. We've got one of the strongest downtown residential populations of any downtown in the U.S. A couple of areas of focus as we look ahead. We've talked about a lot of vacant storefronts downtown. We are in the business now of retail recruitment, prospecting, advocacy, and retention. We've got to go pound the pavement with existing retailers within our city and region that have one shop, have a great brand, have great merchandise, have a great customer following. And if they're thinking of expanding, we want them to know that there's space for them downtown. So in partnership with the city, we're heavily invested in this work. There's some really good news here too. The retailers that are operating today in downtown Seattle, for the most part, based on our visits with them, are having exceptional sales and they're doing exceptionally well. Some the best year ever. So we need to enlist them to tell the story that this place is a good place to do business. And that's a big part of what we're doing. The waterfront is phenomenal. It's done. And then this is the cherry on the top of the sundae, $50 million in investment that we're helping to facilitate. It's under construction today to connect Pier 62 all the way up through Olympic Sculpture Park, Myrtle Edwards Park, and Centennial Park. So there's a consistent experience that connects Smith Cove at the north to the Pioneer Square Habitat Beach at the south. This will be done by June of 2026 and include a beautiful new concession building, redone restrooms, more landscaping, lighting, planting, et cetera. This is a phenomenal investment that Mackenzie Scott, Melinda French Gates, and Barry Diller are making, and we're pleased to be facilitating it in partnership with the city and the port. And we're looking to bring other unique experiences to our downtown. This is just one example. This is a major light festival that is run in Amsterdam and has been over the last 14 years during the winter, during those dark months. We're looking at more investments, great reasons for people to come here to create experiences they can't get anywhere else. We know we have to do more to get more folks, our neighbors, off the street. We're launching an initiative in partnership with the city focused on Pioneer Square. We've got 40 or so folks within the core of Pioneer Square that are waking up on the streets each and every day. We made a ton of progress to reduce the number of tents, thanks to the leadership of the mayor throughout our downtown. We have more to do on this front. We've got to connect people with the housing and services that will get them inside and help get them stabilized and reclaim purpose. So we're working with the national group, Community Solutions, to do that work. These are some things that you all can do, and you all have done a lot of these things. But when people ask me, what are we going to do? It's like, what are we all going to do individually? We all can't do the same thing, but we can all do something. I won't go through all of these. But one I will make note of, if you're involved in a professional association, a national professional association, you're on the board, you have some influence there, have them host their meeting in Seattle. It's a great way to drive business. Hotel room nights, people spending money in restaurants and retailers, more feet on the street. We did that as an organization a year ago, invited the International Downtown Association to have their conference, their annual conference here. They brought 1,400 people for 4 or 5 days. It was great for our core downtown. So that's one thing I would highlight. And join the Rotary Club if you're not already a member. I'm talking to the members, so I didn't want to.
John, we have to leave the last
Yes,
10 minutes.
and that's what I got for you. So
Okay.
happy to take questions if we still have.
Have time for
Nicole.
one very short question. Who's a lucky person? Somebody in the back, please. Yes, okay.
Thank you. Could you talk about what the plans are to revitalize our 2 downtown malls, Westlake and Pacific Place? They used to be a lot more thriving than they are today, so.
Yeah, Pacific Place is under new ownership. BH Properties, an entity out of California, bought the mall about 1.5 years ago for $66 million. The previous owners bought it for $270 or so and put a couple $100 million into it. So they came in at a much lower basis, so they're much better positioned to invest in tenant improvements to attract retailers. There's folks that are looking. They've got a great director of leasing, Janelle Jensen, who knows our downtown well. So they're rocking and rolling on that. We're helping them where we can. We facilitated some meetings between the mayor and some prospective tenants to tell the story of Seattle. So there's some good activity there and similar efforts at Westlake. Indoor malls in U.S. downtowns have always been challenging. Most retailers and most consumers want to be at the street level. So I think getting the street level of both Westlake and Pacific Place reactivated is what's critical. And getting Nordstrom the great sales numbers once again will help us fill Pacific Place. So everybody should go spend money at Nordstrom.
Thanks to both of you. And as a thank you for your participation today, the Seattle Rotary Service Foundation has provided 600 servings of healthy produce to those in need through Harvest Against Hunger in both your names. Thank you again for joining us. And thank you to those of you who have already donated to SRSF this year. That includes me. I hope all of you are making your donations. I also want to thank REB Enterprises and Carl Benke for their meeting support this year. Thanks to Bloodworks Northwest and the Baird Westland Morse Group for their sponsorship support. Nicole, do you have some announcements?
Tried to get through the questions. Sorry about that, guys. So first, I just wanted to say off script, it was groundbreaking for the Shell House. Some of you have been watching that project. So that was a big one. And I am done working at UW. So Monday I start at Klein Galland. So I'll need to change my name tag to healthcare. First announcement, hunger strike. So anyone participated in the bowling to help? Yes, we know that. So if you guys haven't signed up, it benefits Harvest Against Hunger, and it's based on where you live. So you can join and help out Harvest Against Hunger based the bowling alley near where you live. So do sign up. Thursday, which is tomorrow, Lake Union Rotary has a happy hour, which benefits Child USA. And it will be at Center for Wooden Boats and from 6 to 8 p.m. And there's tickets on their Lake Union Rotary website. Next Wednesday, we have our Zoom-only lunch, which is free, and it'll be featuring 3 of our younger Rotarians talking about some of the choices and challenges that they face today. And Stephen Morse is one of the ones that's here today. He'll be up being interviewed by Dorothy Bullitt. And that'll be interesting and I think fun for all of us to ask questions as well. The following Wednesday, October 1st, we'll be back at the WAC, and we have a lunch meeting featuring Gordon McHenry of United Way. This will be our shift to basic needs, the whole month. And Wednesday, October 15th, the next meeting will also be at the WAC featuring King County Executive Shannon Braddock. And then the following Wednesday, October 22nd, we'll have a Zoom-only lunch featuring SRSF, Community Partners, Harvest Against Hunger, and Rotary Boys and Girls Club. So we'll be hearing a lot about donations this month and where our funding goes. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Not long ago, a friend told me about walking in downtown Seattle on a Saturday morning, a walk that she takes quite often. She said that downtown felt a little too quiet, and it felt that way for some time. It was the kind of quiet where she wondered, is the heart of the city, has it stopped beating? But as she walked past Pike Place Market, she saw a salmon flying through the air. A street musician started to play a tune, and right behind her, a line was forming at the first Starbucks. She told me she thought to herself, well, maybe downtown has decided it's coming back. This reminded me that, as we've heard all afternoon, recovery does not happen overnight. It's built moment by moment, person by person, business by business. Seattle's recovery will be a reflection of those of us who choose to show up, to shop locally, to support the arts, to work or volunteer downtown, or simply gather for a dinner at a downtown Seattle restaurant. It's why those of us at Seattle 4 have such a vital role to play. In the recent members survey that I hope all of you completed, you've continued to place the downtown Seattle recovery as our first priority. Strengthening our community and showing up is exactly what makes the downtown recovery not just possible, but lasting. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you and welcome to the folks from the Kota Club in India. Next Wednesday, we'll see you on Zoom to hear from our younger members about the challenges they're facing in the local economy. Andrew, where are you? There you are. Please remember to stand at the back and greet people on their way out. And we'll see you on Zoom next week. We are adjourned.